Well, hello, all you Palia peeps. My name is Princess Marshmallow, and today I want to go into great detail about how to host a cake party in Palia. So, we will cover getting the recipe and all the different roles, how to set up your plot and the party, then how to run the party, and some troubleshooting. Alright, so the famous celebration cake recipe. First of all, you need to be level 9 cooking and have 3,000 gold in your pocket. And you can purchase this recipe from the Cooking Guild store, which means you need to go see this guy, Ref. Once you have the recipe, when you open it up, it'll look like this. We've got celebration cake times 3. So each time you complete this recipe, you will get a stack of 3 cakes. You've got 5 minutes to complete this recipe. So we have blueberry, 3 jellied cake layers, and 1 bowl of white frosting. So we'll go through the stations and what ingredients are needed. I like to think of the recipe in phases. So phase 1 is our starter. That's typically you, the host. So you have to put the blueberry down and start the recipe, and the host is the only one that has to have the recipe. The recipe is started at a prep station, and to start the recipe, you need blueberries. The number of blueberries you need will depend on how many rounds you're doing. Typically, a cake party is done in rounds of 50, 100, 150, so on and so forth. So for most of this video, we'll be using 50 as our number. Next up is phase 2. So your 4 sweet leafers and your 3 fruity frosters can go immediately. Our sweet leafers, we have 4 different people that can do sweet leaf. That is done at a mixing station. So each person needs to bring 50 sweet leaf if you're doing 50 rounds. Next up, we have fruity frosters, 3 of those. So fruity frosters, pink frosting, whatever you want to call it, is done at a mixing station. You can use blueberries or apples, and then 50 sugar. So the fruity frosting uses sugar, which can be purchased from Zeki's General Store. Phase 3, that's our 1 regular frosting and our 3 batters, because they're using that sweet leaf from phase 2. So 3 cake batters, also done at a mixing station. So each batter, if you're doing 50 rounds, will need to bring 50 butter, 50 eggs, and 50 flour. And each batter will use a ground sweet leaf from the sweet leafers. So that's why we have 4. So 3 is going into the batter, and then that 4th sweet leaf is going into our regular frosting or white frosting. So this is, again, done at a mixing station. The regular frosting or reg frosting is going to need 50 milk and 50 butter. And they'll use that last ground sweet leaf from the previous rolls. So phase 4 are our bakers. Once the batter is done, they can bake those cakes. So these are done on ovens. No ingredients are needed. So this is what's known as a free roll. The bakers take the cake batter that the batter is made, they put it in the oven, they wait 10 seconds, and then they pull it out. And phase 5 is going to be your spreaders. So once the cakes are baked, the fruity frosting is done, they spread those jellied cake layers. So 3 spreaders. Again, this is another free roll. So this is the only step other than starters that happens at a prep station. So no ingredients are needed. These spreaders are the last step. And then the starter is working at that prep station where the recipe was started, adding all of these ingredients as they're completed. And then they pick up the cake and then start all over. So that's a whole round. Optional is over prep. There are only 18 rolls within the cake party, but we can over prep sweet leaf and fruity frosting, and we could have 10 sweet leaf per round. Now their sweet leaf is technically getting wasted, but they do get the cakes, right? So that's kind of what it's all about. All right, so the plot. So I'm going to share with you my Princess Marshmallow patented cake plot setup. So the starter is phase 1 at the host station. So next it goes to phase 2. Then I have phase 3 in the next gazebo. We're going to skip the greenhouse just a second. And then phase 4 bakers, phase 5 spreaders, and then we're back to phase 1. And of course, our optional over prep, you're going to need 4 prep stations, 12 mixing stations, 4 ovens, and then you'll need to buy 4 gazebos, and then optionally, you can get that greenhouse or some pavilions and put as many mixing stations as your heart desires in there for over prep. And And here's what that looks like visually. So we've got the host stand with one of each station. So the prep station is where you start the recipe with your blueberries. As all of your participants of the cake party are doing their rolls, you are adding their ingredients as they finish it. That prep station that you started the recipe at cannot be used for anything else. So you might want to add a second prep station. And then I like to have at least one of each station for fill-in. We've got our phase 1 gazebo, 7 mixing stations going here. We've got phase 2 with 4 mixing stations. Over prep, I think I have like 12 in there. Phase 4 is going to have your 3 ovens. And phase 5 with your 3 prep stations. All right, now let's put it all together. Use star quality ingredients, and I hit make. And then going at our first step, all of our sweet leafers, and look at that, all of our fruity frosters going. Okay. Then we come over here, that ground sweet leaf. Look at all the batterers and our regular frosting. Now look, the batter's done, and our bakers are gonna start putting the cakes in the oven. They'll wait for the cakes to bake. And look at that, they're taking them out. And now our spreaders can do their rolls. And then I, as the starter, put all of those finished ingredients into the recipe, onto the prep station that we started at. Helpful extras. Having a chest on plot is pretty important. A wardrobe is helpful. So many console players experience lagging when there are a lot of people on plot that are wearing animated skins. So changing that can help. Also removing pets and nameplates, I've heard. And then sandbox signs. So this is almost not an extra at this point. The sandbox signs really help me to organize getting everyone to their correct stations. All right, so getting into the lockbox. So this prevents misclicks. From any chest, you can toggle to a lockbox or safe storage with this blue chest icon up here. So that is super helpful just to have a chest on plot. If someone's doing a lot of misclicks, maybe they're a newer player, just recommend to them what needs to be locked up. Your recipe will not pull from the lockbox. Setting up the party. I personally use the Palia party app. Credit to Celine, the site is fan made, and what a rock star fan, because I use that app daily. Okay, so this is the Palia party app. So to create a party, you come up here and click create new party. So that's going to open up the menu where you put in all the details for your cake party. If you want others to join, you would make it public, or if you're going to share it, maybe in a Discord or somewhere, you make it private. Got a beginner friendly toggle. You'll name your cake party, enter your description, so details about where they can find their stations, what time they need to sync and be at the plot, if you're requesting starred apples, so on and so forth. You'll put in a date and time, select cooking, how many cakes, how many rounds are you gonna do? And then, of course, you could do a number of recipes, but we're doing the cake party recipe. That's going to break down each roll and how many ingredients they need to bring. And then housing plot is where all cooking is done. And so once you have the party created, it'll look like this. The description will be here. We'll have the different rolls here. You can lock certain rolls. So you may choose to lock the free rolls until you get some of the other rolls filled. You can allow for over prep or toggle that off. And also you can turn on allow multiple rolls. And as your cake party participants sign up, they'll be listed here, but you'll also see their names and their little icons here that'll help you keep track of which rolls you need. Running the party. I'll show you exactly what it looks like, and then we'll talk about some troubleshooting. So first of all, I want to take a head count, and the patented Princess Marshmallow cake plot layout will help you with that, because as people are coming in, they're going to read those signs, they're going to go to their stations, and then you just run around in a circle until all of those gazebos are filled. and you double check to make sure that they made it to their correct station. So once you finish your head count, everyone's there and accounted for. I like to do a test run. So this is just the first round of however many you're doing, and I kind of pause after. So afterwards I say, did anyone not get cake? Because if you didn't do something within the recipe, you won't get cake. So hearing none, nobody's saying, hey, I didn't get cake, then I say, did anybody's roll get taken? Meaning, did someone do the wrong roll? Hearing none, I move on and say, okay, check now. Do you have enough ingredients to do the roll you just did 49 more times? Or 99, however many rounds you're doing. Make sure everyone does. If not, they can run and go get some, or they can request if they're missing one or two, that sort of thing. And then we say, all right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I like to keep the cakes under a minute. Keeping count is also an important host role. You can designate someone to do this or do it yourself. If I'm doing 50 rounds, the only thing in my pockets when I start is going to be 50 blueberries. So it's very easy for me to see where we are in the cake party based on how many blueberries I have left. I like to give a shout when we're at the 10 round mark, the 25 round mark, and the 40 round mark, just to let people know kind of how much time to expect. And then if there are hang-ups. So hang-ups are going to be when your recipe timer starts stalling out. Maybe a fruity froster we're waiting on a third fruity frosting. So the cake is baked, but the spreader can't spread because the fruity frosting's not there. So that is a big part of hosting, is kind of managing, keeping a bird's eye view of where the recipe is at. And how you do that are your cooking in progress status indicators. So you see the ... there first. That means they're looking at the recipe in the menu, but they haven't clicked make yet. So they may ... and then come back out of it. ... That means they're just checking. And then when you see the three little people, that means they are actively doing the roll. They're mixing something. The cake is in the oven, that sort of thing. When you see the hand, that means the ingredient is ready to be used. And then once the ingredient has been added to the prep station that started the recipe, so that's you, the host, once you've added it, it'll have a check mark next to it. These 4 indicators are really helpful for you to catch where is something getting hung up. All right, so troubleshooting. Let's say you don't get enough people for your party. There are a couple of options. One is you could double up. Let's say you only got 3 sweet leafers to sign up. You could ask your sweet leafers, hey, is anyone able to double up and do 2? So that person would do 2 ground sweet leaf per round, doubling the amount of ingredients that they need. So on the pot that I have designed, I only allow people to double up on the roll they're already doing, just because I don't want them running through different gazebos. I find it a lot harder to keep track with doubling up, so I actually prefer, I hardly ever double up. I actually prefer that the host covers the rolls, so I make sure as the host that I have enough ingredients to do every roll 50 times if I needed to. Station stalls. So if someone can't interact with their station and they sound off in the chat, there are a couple things you can do. The first one is going to be to open the store, the in-game store. That resets a lot of the UI within the game. Also taking out a tool or using unstuck. All right, money talk for all you min-maxers out there. I have a chart here by Bella3C from Reddit. Now, I think this may be a little outdated, but it was the most updated one I could find, because I know that my highest value cakes sell for $2.80. But generally, if you use starred blueberries and all 3 of your fruity frosters use starred apples, you're going to get your highest value cakes. So some final tips, takeaways, reminders. This is just how I do it. Find your own flow. This is what works for me, but there are many different ways to bake a cake, and all of them taste good. So 50 rounds in 50 minutes is your goal. This is for comfort of everyone involved. Typically, if you do a 100-round cake party, you're going to take a break at the 50-round mark. Don't forget to party up for XP, getting your growing all out furniture, and focus up. Cake parties you'll level up really quickly if you keep that focus bar full. And at the end of the day, cake is cake. Don't stress too much about the quality and just have fun. And that, my friends, is the patented Princess Marshmallow Cake Party tutorial. If you put on a cake party, be sure to shoot me an invite. Okay, bye.